Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
everyone.
What's going on, Ryan? Good to see you here.
What's up? Yeah, happy to be hanging out with you tonight.
Yeah, of course. So we're gonna be doing some kind of just market prep for you guys. We are just waiting for Gino, our night trader, to come on. So if this is your first time, welcome to 20 Minute Trader TV. My name is Lance. I'm going to be one of your co-hosts today. We're also joined by the awesome Ryan here, who we're going to get to know in a little bit. If you guys are new to trading, 20 Minute Trader is the place for you. It's really a movement created for the beginner slash non-trader to get into trading. So really excited to kind of showcase the system here. We might take some live trades, but really the next 20, 30 minutes, we'd love to just answer as many questions as you guys have. So drop them in the comments, maybe put where you're tuning in from. And we are an open book. I've been trading for the last 3 years about solely with 20 Minute Trader. So I have a ton of experience. Ryan's been with us for a while as well. So yeah, without further ado, Ryan, I think the group would kind of love to know a little bit about you and yeah, where you came from and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah, it sounds awesome. So, I am one of the mentors at 20 Minute Trader. I'm excited to be here with Lance tonight to chat with all of you. If there are questions you have specifically for me, I'd be happy to answer those throughout our session. As Lance mentioned earlier, you can drop those questions in the chat. We can answer them here for everybody. Um, I've been trading in total about 10 years, but most of my time was trading stocks, buying and selling. So, buying and holding. I only learned options and futures from the 20 Minute team. So, Jeremy Russell, our founder, taught me everything I know about options. And today we trade futures, like you see here on the screen, which are really, really exciting. Um, these amplified derivatives, as we call them, or the ability to trade in a manner for a short period of time for an amplified amount of profit, is really cool. Something you definitely can't benefit from as easily trading stocks and equities. So, as far as being part of the community, I've been with 20 Minute Trader for 4 years, and the first year of that time was as a student, just like many of you. And I learned the system from Jeremy and his mentors at the time. And I'm proud to say that I am one of many that have succeeded in trading the strategy and adding that as a supplemental income for my family. So it's exciting, and one of the best things I get to do is help new traders learn all about 20 Minute trading and do the same thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes. So, I mean, just kind of tell us, have you, sorry, one second here, just looking at one thing.
Hello to Grandpa Trades from Palm Beach, Florida. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Feel free to let us know where you're stopping in from this evening.
What's going on, Grandpa? Good to see you again. All right, so you guys see my charts here. We just kind of opened up the market about 20 minutes ago. As you guys may or may not know, the futures market is open 23 hours a day, 5 days a week. So if you're someone that works all day and you're like, I can't trade throughout the day, I feel so left out. Well, then futures trading might be a good avenue for you, right? You can trade later at night. Curious, Ryan, what's your ideal session that you like to trade? I was going to ask you before. Do you like to trade at these later sessions? Have you ever done that before?
I have. I think that as far as fitting into a lifestyle where you may have another obligation during the day, a beautiful thing about trading futures is that you can trade it in the evening. You can also trade it in the pre-market, which is in the morning before the New York Open begins. So yeah, I don't mind trading in the evening. My preferred trading window is actually during what they call the power hour. If you're not familiar with the stock market, that's the last hour of trading for the day between 3 and 4 p.m. So when it fits my schedule and I feel mentally and physically prepared and ready to take some trades, I dive into that session. I really like taking trades during that 3 to 3:50 period, and I see a lot of really good patterns there.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't done too much there. It's actually really interesting. I haven't heard too many people do that. Is there any reason why you don't prefer like the first 30 minutes of the market? You think it's too volatile for you with the current market?
Well, just being totally honest, it usually doesn't fit my schedule very well. I have other obligations that take precedent in the morning, and so usually I wait for the best opportunity in my day where I can feel calm and at ease and prepared to take trades, be able to focus entirely on what I'm trying to accomplish. And yeah, I think that similarly, the afternoon session between 3 and 4 offers a lot of like volatility in the market. So there's lots of participants, but with maybe a little bit less chaos because the beginning of the day can be pretty wild sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I have been getting slaughtered, if that's the nicest word for it, in the first 30 minutes of the last week and a half or so. So I've actually been liking a little bit after that, like 10 to 10:45-ish is kind of like my pocket right now that I seem to be doing well. But yeah, it really
That's
doesn't
another
make
great
a
time.
difference. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. So you guys will see on my charts here. I see a question. Go ahead, Ryan. What were you gonna
I was just going to
say?
say, I think that it really boils down to where you feel at your best because you want to be trading
Yeah,
when you feel at your best, when you're the sharpest, you're feeling ready, mentally prepared. That's a huge part of trading, right? You want to feel like your mindset's in the right space, you're in the zone. That's the best time, in my opinion.
100%. I was telling Draper I used to, or I think I was telling Kai this on one of her sessions. Like when I first started trading, I would wake up at 9:28 or 9:29, a minute before the market opened. I'd roll out of bed, and my eyes would still be like half closed as I'm trying to trade, and it was just never a good scenario. And I would be like,
Yeah.
"Why am I not profitable?" And there you go.
I wonder.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've definitely been guilty of that myself. I think I learned that lesson enough times that when I was underprepared, I almost just kind of planned to not do well because I knew that I wasn't at my best.
right.
So I even like reserve some time ahead of trading to get, ready. I call it my pre-flight protocol. I want to like lock in, I want to focus on what I'm doing, kind of flush out any distractions. And I think that's a nice way to get ready and prepared mentally. Um, I know I've already mentioned that a couple of times, but it's just that important to me that, I don't want to bring anything in. It's kind of like leave your baggage at the door, right? I don't want to bring anything into my trading space that could disrupt my process and my thoughts, my decision making skills while I'm trying to do this. I call trading a very high impact sport. It's like playing dodgeball. You're going to get hit sometimes, and I want to be ready to take the hit. If I'm going to get into the market, I want to be ready to take the hit.
That's awesome. High impact sport. I love that. Yeah, sometimes I need a
Yeah.
helmet because I want to just smash my head. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Um,
no kidding. Yeah, sometimes you
yeah,
could use some pads and some helmets for sure. It'll
yeah,
get you real good sometimes. But the coolest thing about the market is that it's one of the most challenging ways to make easy money. But our strategy puts it together that you can, even as a beginner, learn a very predictable, concise, easily refined and learned skill that will teach you how to take benefit of trading in the stock market without having to be a stock analyst or a technical analyst or hedge fund manager or anything like that, right? The everyday person, just like me, who I didn't come from a background in trading at all. My professional career was in a completely different scope. I knew nothing about this until I arrived, and I was able to figure it out. And there were many after me and before me that were able to do the same thing.
yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, our system doesn't require any crazy technical analysis, right? All these fancy terms you might hear online, while those might be valid and they might work, it's not useful for our system in particular. We're just using shape, so it's a good segue. Just to kind of brief you guys on what we're looking at on the charts here. So we're actually looking at the blue line and the orange line. I see a question. What is the blue line? So that's actually representing the price of the S&P 500 futures contract, or ES, if you want to follow along on your charts. Now it says TradingView.com. I get asked that every day. What platform is this? This is TradingView.com. You can sign up for a 30-day free trial. If you want access to 1-second charts, which are on now, you would need a premium subscription, but in any sense, we are looking at the S&P 500. Now, the orange line is going to be the Dow Jones. We're not actually trading that. We're just using that to help spot our entries. So really, the process remains very simple, not necessarily easy, right? It remains just really a two-step process. All we're looking for are for these blue and orange trend lines, which are, if you want those, feel free to comment the word learn if you're on Instagram or Facebook, or click the link in the description. We can help you claim those at the upcoming web class. But essentially, all we're looking for are for these trend lines to be going in different directions. So that could look like the blue line down, orange line up, vice versa, one of them flat, one of them directional. Doesn't really matter, but whichever way the blue line is pointing, that's the direction we're taking the trade in. So in this instance, we see the blue line is kind of flat, right? Just kind of using an average there. It's kind of flat as the orange line is down, right? So what that would do is tell me that price most likely wants to keep going higher, right? And then that's step number one. Now, step number two is really just waiting for a discount. In other words, if we're looking for price to go up, we want it to go down a little bit um, and show that we got a little bit of a discount before the price goes back higher. Um, so that's really all we're looking for in practice. It's, like I said, it's simple, but not necessarily easy. How um how long do you think, Ryan, it took you to get really a hold of a place where you're like, okay, I feel comfortable with the pattern, I can kind of spot it in my sleep? How long do you think it took?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It kind of speaks also to a question we have in the chat from Raider Gaines, which is what time frame do you primarily take entries on? Well, we use a 1 second chart, and I'd say that was something that I had to overcome when we first started. Is that it seemingly moves really, really fast, and I had to get comfortable with the speed of the market. So you mentioned 1 minute, 5 minute. We don't use any of those. Our proprietary 20-minute trading systems all use a 1 second chart time interval. So for me, I feel like the first thing I had to realize was, unlike maybe some of the stock charts I was accustomed to beforehand, I needed to get comfortable with the speed of the chart. And once I grasped that, which probably took me a few weeks to feel comfortable in this environment, it actually slowed down, which was kind of unique. When I first saw the chart, I thought, wow, this blue line and orange line, they're moving sporadically all over the place. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to interpret what I'm seeing. But I had a great mentor that every day I had questions and I'd say, hey, what does this mean? Why is it doing this? And they always got back to me with a really awesome, complete response and helped me really cultivate the skill of spotting the pattern. So I would say I really got a good grasp for it within a month or so, to the point where I felt like I could generate profits consistently, and also was comfortable with that speed of the chart and could spot patterns on a regular basis.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not long at all, you know. So,
Yeah. Seemed like forever at the time, I'll tell you. I felt like, why can't I just get it right? And then ultimately now I'm several years in and I'm thinking that was just one small step in my learning curve, you know? Um, it's it's cool to see that now, again, even though 1 second charts still move pretty quickly, it almost seems like a very conservative pace now. And the early beginning stages of learning our strategies often come with some beginner's luck too. And so I was really bolstered and confident in the pattern early on by seeing some pretty good trades that helped me, just feel very confident, like I said, right in the beginning, that the pattern was going to be something that would work well for me. It fit my lifestyle, and that it was something that I could clearly see, even with no former experience.
yeah, for sure. So what we kind of saw right there, and I see a question from Jose. Yes, this is the RSI at the bottom, or the relative strength index. All you guys that are beginners, don't worry about the math behind it and all that fancy stuff. Just know that it helps us to get a discount. So if I'm looking long, I want the RSI to go down a little bit, more so than just the price itself. And that helps us to see that it's a true discount and not a false one. So before we saw kind of the blue line up, the orange line was flat. So I was looking to go long. I just wanted to see more of a discount potentially in price, especially this early in the day. And it's something to note as well. Now we see that the market's really been kind of pushing down stronger than it's been going up, I would say. And yeah, we're only a half hour in, but still a significant sell-off on ES. 20 points is nothing to laugh about on ES. So we definitely sold off pretty hard. So I'm not sure that I would be super ready to take a long unless it's super clear. And we actually see the divergence is what we call that direction is actually flipping. So we see the blue line is down as the orange line is up. We're actually making a new low, which is really good. So at that point, I'm just looking for a discount. What are you thinking about this trade here, Ryan?
Yeah, I like it. I think that this could be a great short opportunity. As you said, and for those that don't know, the market just reopened about 30 minutes ago. So this is kind of like a period where we watch to see what happens and wait to, develop a trade idea here. Don't want to jump into things too early, but once a clear trend has been defined, it's all green lights go.
100%. Yeah, so we'll see if we can get a little discount. Ideally, the lines would be in a different direction by the time we enter in. Um, you know, showing that they're parallel kind of disproves the relationship between the two. So we would like to see the orange line still stay flat. But if we get a discount, we might just jump in on the trend anyway, lower risk, and just see if we can catch one. But yeah, I was I got myself funded today on a new eval, so that was fun on Top
Nice.
Step. That was good. Needed that over the last couple of weeks were a little bit flat for me. I feel like that's like a worse feeling as opposed to being red. You take 2 steps forward and then 2 steps backwards, and that was just kind of what I was doing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. It can be definitely a challenging period, but I'll just shout out, did a great job managing the whole journey, which mentor Lance documented for us in the community, which was really awesome, and everybody got a lot out of it, showing exactly what is, kind of like a realistic idea of what we do, and what a great feeling to have a new funded account and with a phenomenal firm, right? Top Step is a great firm to be funded with.
Yeah. Do you have any preferred firm at the moment? Anything you're kind of liking with rule changes or anything like that?
I'm sorry, what was that, Lance? I missed it.
All good. Do you have like a preferred firm that you're working with right now?
I just like to be well diversified. I don't like to have all of my eggs in one basket. So I like, I guess I'm equal opportunity when it comes to which firms I look at so that I can have plenty of funded accounts with each of them. But I do like Top Step. They're a nice firm, definitely one of the more reputable as far as being in the business for a while. Never had any trouble with getting payouts from them. I do like Lucid. They're a new up and coming firm that has a really great program where you only pay once for your eval, which I think is awesome. But yeah, there's tons of great firms out there, and one of the great things about being in our community too is we have some affiliate discounts that are available to our members to receive. You know, oh, I'm going to let you watch your trade here, Lance.
Yeah, I might take that short. Let's jump in short, guys. Just off that little nice discount, right? So we'll put our stop loss. Look to lose about $100. Look to make about the same. So we'll set that there. Now, like I said, I'd like to see the direction still kind of prevalent there, but I feel like in a nice downtrend, we got a nice pullback. Um, so again, we're just right now I'm just paper trading, just kind of seeing how the market flows. I'm not really used to trading at this time, like consistently. Yeah, for the last couple of days we've been on here, but I don't typically take trades at this time. You can see that you always want to be trading with a stop loss, at the bare minimum. You don't need to have a take profit, but I do think you should have a stop loss because it can always go against you. You want to make sure that you're protected so you don't take any unnecessary losses here. So we're currently in the profit about $25. I know it's not life-changing numbers, but we just hit our take profit, and there we go.
That's
That was awesome. So in about, let's see, that was 36. That was, oh, wait, is that a whole minute? That was a quick minute. We were in the trade for one, and we made $100. So can't ask for much more than that. Do you remember what
that's
you
a
were
pretty
saying?
good hourly rate if you ask me.
Yeah. Were you saying something before I cut you off?
No, I just wanted to be able to focus on that. I was just saying there's lots of really good firms, and that within our community, we've negotiated some discounts for our members. So
Mm,
that's one perk of being a 20-minute trader is that we often offer discounts for different firms, which are available to you as well, and you can take advantage of those. It helps really lower the cost of entry so that you can participate in funded trading, which we love. It's like that rich uncle that you have. You can use OPM or other people's money to trade with, which is a huge benefit instead of having to risk your own capital. I know that when I first started trading, that was the only way. Like you just had to, make the deposit and put your money on the line for each trade. And I have to say that funded trading is definitely a life-changing opportunity.
100%. Just the ability to not have to worry about your hard-earned capital, being at risk of the markets. The markets are so volatile nowadays. Um, as at least compared to 2 or 3 years ago. So you don't want to be in these huge swings where in the blink of an eye, you can really do some damage to your account. So that's why having these prop firms just allow you to lower your downside risk, but then you can also scale a lot quicker, which to me was the mind-boggling part when it comes to copy trading and all that. Um, so yeah, prop trading has I'm never trading my own capital, in my opinion, until the prop firms kick me out. Last night you mentioned not using
Question
fair
for you.
value. But, oop, am I a little bit behind in my audio? I don't know if I'm lagging a little
I
bit.
think it might have been on my end, but yeah, that was the same question.
Yeah, so those concepts, referring to fair value gaps and all the different things that you might hear, it could help, right, in a certain way. A lot of traders like to use that as additional confluence, but for our system, we don't use those. And as you'll see, we're on the line chart, right? So a lot of those strategies and concepts come with candlestick trading, as well as higher time frame trading. So those just wouldn't apply to us. But again, if you find them useful and you put them together, by all means, feel free to try it out. But it is not necessary, which is why a lot of beginners gravitate towards 20-minute trader and the movement in general. Right? There's none of those fancy terms that you might find that are a little overwhelming for beginners.
Yeah, and I'll even say I knew some more advanced trading techniques outside of 20-minute trading before jumping in. And I just found that the best thing to do was just to etch a sketch, man. Like just go back to the very basics of what Jeremy teaches and the very distilled concept keeps it simple. You don't have to overthink it. You just look for the basics of these lines and their relationship to one another. And there isn't a bunch of extra qualifiers to use. So I personally found that very refreshing.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. So we got that nice trade here. Typically, when even Gino comes on, you want to make sure that you're choosing quality over quantity, right? We want to always take anywhere from, I would say, one to maybe 3 or 4 trades. I typically am right around that 2 trade mark on average per day. You might think, well, if the strategy's so good, wouldn't I just take 100 trades per day? Well, not necessarily, right? Because you don't want to be on the charts all day. No one's signing up for another job here. And it just causes a lot of room for error. So I think less is more. I think Ryan would agree. And I
Could
think
not agree more.
yeah, I think a lot of the top traders would say the same thing that as long as your edge is there and your strategy is good, you want to just do the highest quality instead of just trying to take every setup that presents itself.
Yeah, I think that is a very sound philosophy, and you said it. Quality over quantity, or less is more. I couldn't agree with that statement more. I used to be, or let's say I'm a recovered overtrader. I wanted to trade anytime that I saw the opportunity. As soon as there was something on the chart to push the button and see what happens, I wanted to take advantage of it. But ironically, I found myself to be more profitable taking less trades.
Right.
Probably have heard that before too, but the less trades
Right.
I take, the more profit I keep.
Yeah, me too. Exactly right. Exactly right. So I always ask people that are on as, guests or people that we haven't, I know you may have been on another show before, but what to you do you think is like the biggest maybe mistake that you made from trading? It doesn't necessarily need to be P&L wise, but is there a mistake that you made that sticks out to you that you always remember that you would encourage someone to avoid before they hit that road?
Yeah, that's a good question. I kind of spoke to it earlier in our session here, but it has to be not fully acknowledging how much my personal mindset would impact my ability to trade well and how those correlate with each other. I
Interesting.
was maybe naive or ignorant to the fact that I could just out trade my mindset. Like if I traded more, maybe I could still be profitable even if I wasn't in the zone. I wasn't actually thinking clearly. But what I would reflect on after those trades was that because I wasn't at my best mentally, I was taking inferior trades. I wasn't following the system. I often wasn't doing very well because I wasn't mentally there. Right? I wasn't in the zone. So, although there was personal growth and development that had to happen in order for me to feel comfortable and feel like I was in the zone and I could trade well, and I could make time for trading, which I mentioned earlier. I go through like a little routine to get myself prepared and ready. I didn't really give that enough weight in the beginning. I thought that it was all about what that P&L said. Like at the end of the day, who cares how my mindset was throughout the session? Was I green or red? And that's all I was, really worried about, which was just ridiculous because that is important, but it's not the most important thing. You should feel comfortable while you're doing it. You should enjoy it. It shouldn't be something that you see as a chore. And ultimately, you can still have a good day even if you're red, because if you learned something and you followed your trading plan, then you're still a winner in my books.
Sure. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, that is definitely underrated because I think you have stuff going on in your mind from outside sources. You don't even realize that it's affecting you. So yeah, it's a great point. It's a really good point. So right here on the charts again, we see the blue line is down, the orange line is up. I'm not going to take another trade here, kind of like the profit that I've made, and I see Gino probably come on soon. But I would be betting on price going down here, right? Just because we had this nice little pop up of the RSI, pretty meaningful pop up. So I'd be betting on going down from this area. Ideally, it'd probably make a new low and kind of move on down. And if it doesn't, that's fine, right? Not every trade is going to be a winner, but based on this relationship, that's what my guess would be. And it looks like I would have been
Yeah,
wrong
that's a
there.
really, really nice conversion pattern right now. Yeah.
So
The
everything
real
looks
Greg has a two-part question. He says, go ahead, Lance.
no, all you.
Just that you said less is more, but could you make it a full-time job? Sure, you could. And there are traders in our community that have done just that. We have people who come from all walks of life, and they found a way to supplement their income using the 20-minute trader strategies, and some of them in very sizable amounts. We're talking thousands of dollars a week that they're able to produce using the strategy, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to say that those results are typical or for everyone, but there are definitely opportunities to do that. And you could spend just a few hours a day, maybe even less, honestly, Greg, and still be able to generate a pretty sizable amount of income with the strategy. I traded, just for a few minutes yesterday. I think in total, less than 30 minutes actually, from getting to the chart, preparing to trade, looking for my trades, executing my trades, and completing my journey, all within that 30-minute window. And I was able to make several $100s for the day. And if you repeat that process, several times a week, you can see how it can really add up.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely I get asked this a little bit of like when should I think about that, and it's interesting because trading, and this goes back to what you're saying about the mindset. I wouldn't be super apt to just go and put your 2 weeks in, and once you start winning a couple trades, right? Because having cash flow and just steady income still coming in while you're trading makes it that much better. Um, because when trading has to work out, when a trade needs to win for you to, put food on the table or things like that, it can just make it that much more stressful, which I think is a bad place to be. And yeah, so it's a great question. Definitely just want to give that some thought if you're having some success.
Yeah, that idea that you have to trade to make income kind of disrupts your mindset, especially if you're a new trader. You're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself to perform a certain way. We wouldn't necessarily recommend that as a guideline, but when the time is right, it's definitely something that can free you from a day job. It can free you from, maybe having to work as much, maybe just a supplement. Maybe if you're, in a situation where you have more than one job, you could leave one behind and let trading take the place of one of those. Those are all absolutely options. If nothing else, though, it can just be a nice supplement to what you do now, and it could eventually grow into something amazing. So those are all, potential opportunities.
For sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see if we got any other questions here. Again, if you guys like the style of trading here, you want some of these 20-minute tools and some others that we have, you really like the idea of getting a mentor, like Ryan here with so much wisdom and just insight on the markets here each and every day to really help you along the process, comment the word learn if you're on Instagram or Facebook, and check your DMs. And you'll get an absolutely free ticket to the upcoming web class. If you're on YouTube, click the link in the description and claim your spot there.
Outstanding. Yeah, and for me personally, it allowed a lifestyle change, which was what I was seeking. So it's not the same for everybody, but I wanted to leave a corporate job that I had previously, which I loved very much, and I had spent a lot of time, generating a successful career with. But I wanted the freedom of being with my family, and so that's what trading provided for me. I get to be home every day. I get to work my farm and ranch in Northeast Texas, which was, I went from the corporate to the ranch lifestyle. I totally got to shift my life another direction and kind of pursue a dream for me and my family. So that's another opportunity of how it can, be life changing.
100%. That's awesome. And there he is.
Good evening.
Hey, Gino.
How you doing, Ryan? Lance?
Doing well.
Outstanding.
Awesome. Great conversations. Just really good questions too, and it's the way you explain it, Ryan, is really good. And I think that I don't know about for you all. When I first started, I just thought it was something new. I first saw Jeremy do that trade. I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out, right? I saw him hit his trade. I'm like, if Jeremy can do it, I can too. And then I kind of looked at this like, hey, yeah, another means of income and stuff. And so, but now it's become my passion, and I still think that's possible to have this someday only. And I know a lot of people in the community do that, and I like how you explained it, because really it's the world is your oysters, right? When it comes to this and learning the strategy and what you want to do with it. And I like how you explain that.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, I got one winning trade here before you jumped on.
Okay.
It was good on the ES here, kind of popped on the way down. Seeing maybe a good long here, but I'll kind of hand it off to you to pull up your charts.
Yeah.
And I will take that down.
There we go. So yesterday I had one break-even trade and one trade I hit for 80. Very slow trade. Last night, the trade I won, I was in for 12 minutes. It was moving that slow last night.
12 minutes.
Wow.
Which is, obviously it's much slower at this time, but not 12 minutes, right? So that was something new. I don't remember the last time I had a 12 minutes, 10 minutes. And and it wasn't like it was just, it kind of came down. It slowly moved up, never went back down. It just kept, it was wild. Never seen it before.
How odd. Yeah, the market can be, different at times. That's definitely an anomaly with, most of our trades only lasting seconds, maybe a minute at the most. That would have felt like an eternity.
The best trades are when you enter and it shoots your direction and bada bing, bada boom, right?
Boom.
It always work like that.
Yeah, the trade that Lance took was like, oh wow, that was a really quick, trade in and out, and that's exactly what we were hoping for.
Yeah, those are fun. Let's see what the trend looks like on his gold. It's heading up a little bit.
So for anyone following along, we switched. Now we're on the gold ticker instead of the ES. The ES or the S&P 500.
So my name is Gino. I've been a student with 20-Minute Trader now just over a year, and I'm trading gold. The blue line is the value of gold I am trading. And come out here, every night around 6:45, 7. Trade Monday through Thursday, and trade in the futures market. And been doing this for a while now. Enjoy it. And Ryan and Lance, and it's nice to see you, Ryan. How's things been going with you?
Yeah, pretty good. We had a great discussion earlier on mindset. I know that's near and dear to you as well, and how important that is to your trading and your
Man,
overall outcome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, but aside from a lot of precipitation here in Texas lately, everything's been great. We're in the monsoon season, but outside of that, everything's fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. The mindset topic, it is near and dear to me because because I feel like when I do get held back, it's on my own, with that, right? I think that is,
Yeah.
go back through my journals and it's that,
Yeah, we like to encourage in the community not only journaling your net P&L, your entry and exit time for your trade, things of this nature that would seem logical, but also how did you feel? How did you feel during the trade, before, during, and after? And if you identify something that becomes pretty obvious, which is when you're not feeling your best, you don't trade your best, it's really easy to curtail, not trading when you don't feel your best, and make sure that you prioritize, getting in the right mindset before, working on your trading for the day.
Yeah. And that's such a great point. Like this morning, so I'll grade the trade, right? But then I also have a spot where it says emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I did pre-market. I traded for like 15 minutes, hit one trade, hit it. My emotions was nothing. Like I didn't feel anything. However, Wednesday or Thursday morning, I entered the trade, and as soon as I was in, I could feel my heart rate. I could feel and so I hit the trade, but it was last Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. But I wrote down whatever it was. My size was the same. It wasn't my risk. I don't know what it was. It's just so I made sure I journaled that. I don't know what it was.
Interesting, right? The difference in that, and you almost immediately recognized it, right? It's like instant. Yeah.
Can't explain it.
I know for me in the past, that was one of two things. I either was bringing something into my trading space that should be left at the door, thinking about, that thing that happened 20 minutes ago, right? When I, stubbed my toe or jammed my finger or something like that in the door. And then I'm like, I'm still frustrated about this and I'm not ready to push the buttons yet. But if it wasn't that, then it was almost always that I was oversized in my position. I wasn't comfortable with the risk. And so I had a hard learning curve on if I put on too many contracts or trade too heavy, that totally disrupts my ability to be in the zone. And so when I found my sweet spot, it's like I can be very calm and nonchalant. But when I have too many contracts on, man, it definitely disrupts my whole thought process on my trades.
Yeah, I think so. Me too. I can't explain though why it was, because it was the same sizing as before. So I don't know. It was just could have been. I do like this setup here.
Oh yeah, nice one coming up here.
I like it a lot.
There you go.
Do like it. Not ready yet though. These movements I've noticed have been, like I said, been keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's looking clean. See a question here. Could it be possible to trade a minute at a time throughout the day? You can do that. Typically, you'd stay on the charts for 15, maybe 20 minutes and look for a trade or two in the session. But yeah, the trades typically only last a couple minutes, if that. So yeah.
Yeah, or if you'd like to prioritize which minutes you're in front of the chart, we'll do you one better. As a member of the community, we will help you with an indicator tool that'll tell you when you might want to be around. It'll send you alert to your phone and you can just show up. Or if you're working another job, maybe working from home, you can pop onto the chart real quick, see what's going on, and see if there's a trade opportunity.
That's right. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. I tell you, the one big benefit, I mean, not the one, but one of the big benefits, and I mention it quite a bit on here, because if you've never traded before, if you first log in and you see this chart, it's definitely overwhelming, right? If you've never traded, and those that have traded, we're on a 1 second chart. Those chart sessions are something to in the community are something that are awesome. And Ryan, you know how I've come to you multiple times, right, with the chart, and so because that was one of the things that actually gave me cause to pause when I started. It delayed me of actually jumping in and trading, right?
Yeah, it can be very daunting at first. And I mentioned this actually earlier tonight too, that when I first saw a 1 second chart, it just looked like this crazy lines bouncing all over the place. And like, what do these things do? And how am I supposed to identify a trade here? Like what's going on? But you build up like some comfort level to the way that the lines move, the speed they move. And over time, it almost slows down, right? To the point where you can really feel at peace with the speed that the chart is moving. And as a mentor, I'm happy to help many members, including get over the speed bump of tell me about this chart, what's moving, why does it do this, how can I get it comfortable for me as a trader, and we help you get all set up, right? We help you feel confident and comfortable with the chart, make those connections, and yeah, it's what we do.
Yeah, no, it's great. It is great. About 7 o'clock here, we may see some fluctuation. I did like that setup. The reason why I didn't enter, it was 657, 58. So I didn't want to, it's kind of against my rules. Although I do like that market came up to, right? Yeah, so I'll wait a few minutes. I typically don't trade it at all from the 57 to 03 minute. And so, but quick disclosure before we get started, this is for informational, educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. Trading is risky, and I am trading at my own risk. Hey, Grandpa Trades. Do quite a bit.
Yeah, that's solid advice about not trading right around the change of the hour there. We do see sometimes some crazy movements, and they might not always be predictable. So good shout out for that.
Yeah, it looks like it just picked up a little bit there.
Uh-huh. Snagged that last one. You snagged that last one. Good for you, Grandpa.
Nice job.
Good for you.
Do we know how old Grandpa trades? It's probably like 30 years old.
Doesn't matter. He's grabbing all the best trades tonight.
He is.
Yeah. Funny enough, as live traders, we sometimes will explain into a trade, and we'll kind of even say, this is a spot I might enter, but we will on the side of caution, maybe not take the trade, but our students often take it anyway, right? They're like, oh, I trust you, right? I'm going for it. And then they get some of the best trades.
Yeah, I try to do that, Brian, like, on Monday, I try to do that. But I also what I mean is I'll say, hey, I like this here, but then I also say, you know what? I decided against it. And I try to say that before, just because again, they trade at their own risk, but like I talk about that, right? I try to like let them know that, hey, I don't like it anymore, right? Like you like it, then I don't like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to do that. Yeah, it's there's some things changing, and just I tell you though, the one thing I'm trying to just get better with is, which I talk about on here all the time. I talk about actually what I'm thinking is, regardless of my feeling and the intuition I have, if the setup is the setup and I like the meaningful move up or down, I enter regardless, right? Just, you know what I mean? Because, we always get these feelings or intuition, like,
yeah,
I just, you try to block that out and go with what you've learned, right?
Go through the robotic motions, be the machine, right? Be the technician. That will always err on the side of probabilities, because when we're using our own gut feeling or our intuition, we're leaning on the other side, which is more possibilities instead of probabilities. And Jeremy even says the same thing. He's like, don't follow me if you want somebody who's going to be a hunch trader, right? Like I follow a system because the system works. In fact, I'm a lousy hunch trader. I'm a really good systems trader, which is following a great strategy, right?
Yeah, me too. I'm so lousy. And and it can create bad habits too, because I'm sure you've done this and I've done this. I've done a hunch trade or intuition trade, and the darn thing worked out wonderfully. And so subconsciously you're like, oh, well, that one works. So maybe
let's do it again.
Yeah. And then, yeah. And then you get hammered.
Yeah.
And the market's like, hey, now.
The next one humbles you pretty good, typically. Yeah, and it's funny. Like the thing that I learned with our system is that it can be sized from as little as like let's say $50 to $100 trade, all the way up to $500 to $1,000 trade. Like you can literally scale the thing to any size you want. And so if you want to trade bigger size and you're looking for more profits, then just use the proven system. Trade bigger if you want to, right? Instead of trying to guess.
And that's right. And and I also believe too, what's helped me out with copy trading more and things like that really is just exposure therapy, just consistently trying to do it, seeing it, $100, $200, whatever, and just kind of exposing yourself and battling that, training yourself, and then kind of just busting through it, right?
Totally. No, you make a very valid observation there. And I remember, a mentor in our community from down under not that long ago that said, if you don't trade your funded account, you're never going to know how it feels, right? You can look at it forever, but if you just look at it, then it's just going to sit on the shelf and do nothing for you, right? You got to eventually take that band. The exposure therapy has to happen in order for you to feel comfortable with what you're doing. Otherwise, you might as well just stay in a paper trading account, right?
Yep. No, that's right. And I mentioned that before, I think 3 weeks ago or so, where I paper traded for about a month and a half, 2 months, but the analytical me was there, right? The analyst was there. But guess who didn't show up until I started trading real money or real evals? The survivor me. Stood up when you got into evals and funded, because now you have this other voice, like, getting in your head, because it's a different dynamic, right? It's a totally different
fight or flight mode activated.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think, always said, paper trading is so great when you first start to train your eyes to see what you're looking for, to be consistent with that. But at some point, you can still paper trade. I mean, I still paper trade until practice trading and pre-markets and things like that, looking at the charts. But at some point, bringing that real stuff, just got real type of feeling, right, is the only way you're going to get exposure to that, and that feeling, those feelings, and how to handle those, mitigate those, write them down, and all the above.
For sure. And even like thinking about it from the perspective of like, I'm a prop firm trader that's been, awarded the opportunity to trade with sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital leverage, right? It's like, I take that very seriously and I treat it like my own money. So I want to protect it and I want to grow it and I want to water it and take good care of it. And I think that's the way.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you can be overprotective of it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's over trading. That's not trading. That's, and we've all done that. I've done that. Just for me, I've done that. I've been on both ends. And what I've found though lately is just understanding what we have here as far as probabilities, win or lose, right? And I've been a lot better at just not being. You enter, and whatever happens. I'm getting much better at that.
For sure. That's good. That's a lot of growth there. Lots of progress. And Jeremy Russell, who founded and created the 20-Minute Trader systems, he has like the most nonchalant attitude when trading $1 million in prop firm capital, right? Like he's just copy trading all these together, and we're like, wow, like how can he do that and just be so calm, cool, and collected? It's because he has adopted the philosophy that he's just in the zone, right? It doesn't matter how many accounts. He's cool. It's all good, right? He's got a solid risk, budget already stipulated. He already knows what he could potentially lose for the day. All those mechanisms are in place to protect his accounts, and he just trades the system, which is just a phenomenal thing.
It is. It is amazing. But, he has been doing it for some time too, and I think that's helped too, right? And, I think there's never probably going to come a time where you're completely emotionless, because we're humans, but I think there'll become a time where you're more consistently nonchalant like that. Yeah. Come on, you look at I don't know this, but if you look at some of the best traders, I'm sure they all have had a day, not many, but they've had a day where they kind of just either cowboy traded or revenge.
100%. I watched it on other people's streams. I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen other traders that they're really, really good, really profitable, and it just happens.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
yeah. The question: are the widgets premium paid ones? If so, where can I get them? Ryan, that's a good question for you. I can answer it if you want, but you can answer it.
I didn't hear the question.
The widgets we're using, the
Okay.
widgets. They asked if they're premium paid widgets. If yes, how can I get them?
So you're going to need TradingView 1 second charts in order to use these widgets, and so that's one thing. But if I'm not mistaken, Lance, you mentioned that there's an opportunity to get the widgets if they join the web class.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you become a 20-minute trader, you can do that, right? So you can click the link in the description if you're on YouTube, or you can comment the word learn and get yourself the free ticket in your DMs from Instagram or Facebook, and you get that there.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
All right. So we still have some parallel lines.
Seems like I'm
down for that.
Seems like I'm losing some connection here, so I will. I'm gonna head out. I'll leave you guys to it.
All right.
And
Thanks, Lance.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy. All right. So everybody that just joined, thank you for being on here. I'm going to go over quickly kind of what we're looking at. Right now, we're looking at a 1 second chart on TradingView, and reason why meaning that the chart updates constantly every second as opposed to every 5 seconds or every minute. Reason why we're using a 1 second chart is because when we see our entry, when we see our point of where we want to enter a trade, we have really 1 to 2 seconds, 1 to 3 seconds to enter our trade. Maybe 1 to 4, depends, but typically it's like 1 to 2 seconds. And then, so we constantly need our chart to be updated. That's why on the 1 second chart. And I know for some of you that have traded, 1 second charts aren't typical for you, for a lot of you. So that's going to be new. Also, too, we're on line charts as opposed to candles. The candles with little boxes, with little wick strings hanging out of them. The reason why we're on line charts is because the pattern that I'm trading, I always trade a simplified version of the gold pattern, is shape-based. Much easier to see, much easier to identify with line charts. Now, all I'm looking at is the relationship of these 3 lines. That's it. All right. The blue line is the instrument I'm trading, which is the value of gold. Whatever direction that's pointing, that's the direction I'm going to take the trade. So if it's pointing up, I would do a buy. If it's pointing down, I would do a sell. The orange line is our comparison index that we use. That's the Dow Jones. It's the value of the 30 largest companies by industry in the United States, such as Nike, Home Depot. So that's what we use to help us predict which ways the blue line is going to go. So between these 2 lines, we know the direction I'm going to trade. Now what we need, nothing happens until we have a divergence, so a separation of those 2 lines. Think Pac-Man's mouth. It doesn't have to be that extravagant, but that's the best way to explain it. You could have an upward blue line, flat orange line, or vice versa. So we want a separation or divergence between the 2 lines. Once we have that, then we recognize the blue line, whichever direction that's facing is the way that I'm going to make the trade. Then we know the where. So these 2 lines really identify the where we're going to trade. Down here is the relative strength index, or RSI. It is, again, somewhat mathematical, but ultimately it's the strength of this blue line. So for example, if there are 20 movements upward, 20 movements downward, but the 20 movements upward were bigger and stronger, then you would start to see this white line, which you are, above this midline, and vice versa. What we're looking for is, let's actually say we have a divergence here where the orange line's down or flat. Blue line's pointing up, right? So we know we're going to do a buy. What I'm looking for is a meaningful drop in this white line here before I enter up, right? So I'm looking for a drop here. If we had a divergence, which we don't, to go up, right? To do a buy. If the blue line was pointing down, I'd look for, there's a meaningful movement. If the blue line was pointing down, there it is. I look for a meaningful movement up to trade down. Essentially, we're looking for a discount. That's what that is. So whatever direction that we're going to be trading, whatever direction the blue line's pointing, right? Once we have our where, we have our divergence, we have the way that the blue line is pointing, which is the direction I'm going to take a trade. We're looking for a meaningful movement in the opposite direction to enter into that trade. That's what we're looking for. So this is our where, and then this is our win. That's all we look at. And that's it. And so tonight I have a $100 take profit, $100 stop loss. Once I enter a trade, I'll explain the brackets and I'll kind of break that down. But that's all we're looking for. Thank you for being here. If you're on YouTube, click the link in the description. You're on Facebook, Instagram, type the word learn in the comment section. We'll send you a DM free ticket. to the web class where you click it and register and get all your questions answered live. Pretty parallel. What I've noticed too, Ryan, which is interesting, is after 7:30,
Yeah,
moves are bigger.
There's correlation to that. If I'm not mistaken, I'm just remembering off the top of my head. I believe that's when the Tokyo market opens. Yeah. Let me confirm. I'm going to confirm that real quick.
Okay, that would make sense.
Maybe 8 o'clock, but I knew it's around that time. Somebody in the chat's probably already corrected me, but it did open actually when you start at 7. But either way, I think that, kind of around let's call it the first 30-minute window passes, right? And then there's maybe some more participants after that that pop in.
Yeah, that would make sense.
J Mac asking about your TP and SL again. To different amounts? Oh, can you set the take profit and stop loss to different amounts? Yeah, you can. We always recommend trading with a stop loss, and we find that a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, meaning we're risking the same amount that we're aiming to win in the trade, is usually a pretty sound calculation or philosophy to use. But you can alter them. You can change them to your liking based on your risk tolerance.
Yeah, you definitely can be flexible on that. I like to start. I mean, typically I'm always 1-to-1. Sometimes I go to 200. And I know a couple of times on here I've done trailing stop losses, right, where I move my take profit. Obviously, I move my stop loss up. But sometimes you can exit your take profit and just completely remove it, right?
Very true. Yeah.
So I haven't done that yet on here, but I've done that sometimes on the other platform in the morning trading, where if I see it moving up and I move to protect, I'm at break even, and I think it's going to be a big run up or run down, whatever direction I'm in the trade, I just exit out of my take profit and it disappears. So the line can just keep going, but I'm already protecting it. Never exit out of your stop loss. If you do exit out of your stop loss, that's like red light, like alarm.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
If you accidentally do it, my advice would be to get out of the trade pretty quickly. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
I mean, I've accidentally done it before. So
yeah, that's a good. I was kind of thinking with a fixed risk idea. I wasn't even considering take profit really all that much. I was thinking we always want to operate with a nice stop loss to protect the trade. And yes, you can absolutely let your runners run if you get the opportunity.
And that comes from just seeing and just being comfortable, and maybe I hit for my first trade, so I already kind of have that, and I know I'm in a risk-free trade. Whether you're at the your break even, you move your stop loss to break even, or whether you're a little bit above, for a little bit of profit, you're in a risk-free trade, right? And that's a really kind of good feeling, right? When you're in a risk-free trade, that you kind of just take your hands off and let it go, right? And sometimes it comes out and hits your break even, but you have to make that decision, right? I mean, sometimes if the market's more choppy, there's more of an equilibrium, maybe it only is going to move to your profit. It's kind of within a range. It's you're not going to get a runner, right? It just really depends on what you're seeing.
And if you've already collected some profit on the day, you can give yourself a little bit more flexibility, right? Say I'd be willing to, add a little bit to this trade and let it go a little bit further. Even if I do, possibly take a loss or I don't get as much profit, I already collected a nice trade first, and you can give a little bit more flexibility to it there.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. And that's what's great as you get trading, as you get more comfortable with that, you'll start kind of experimenting on that. When I say experiment, I don't mean like risking experiment. I mean, as you get comfortable with it, once you get in a risk-free trade, you can look to do that, right? It's something, and and a lot of times too, if I get into a trade, Ryan, let's say everything's a good setup, but then everything's starting to change directions. Still changing directions, but it happens to pop up above into the green. If I don't like the direction, I'll immediately move my stop loss just to protect it, just based because the direction changed, and I had an opportunity to limit my risk even more, right? I've done that too. So all right, so I like this. See, we have a divergence here. We had it flat. Orange line's flat, blue line's heading down, right? And so I look for a meaningful movement up, right? Meaningful movement up here. to take a trade down. Looks like we lost Ryan. I just entered there on that movement up, just at that peak right here. I entered for a short. So I did a sell. So my take profits down here, my stop loss is up here. So anything in this box, if I were to hit the X button, anything in this box I would leave with red or green. And so these brackets you can move. I have 100 and 100, both stop loss and take profit. And we'll see what happens. If the numbers here in this box go back to 00, that's essentially my entry point. If you see 00s in this box, that's break even or entry point. Good movement there. I was talking about a trailing stop loss. If I get the opportunity here, if it comes down here, I'll do that. I'll remove my take profit and I'll move my stop loss down in a second, of course. If this line gets down to here, I'll do that. Okay, so it did that. I'll do this here. I'll X out of my take profit. So now this line's free to go. It may come up and hit here, but I'm protecting. I wanted to show you that. So if it drops down again, I'll move my stop loss down even farther. So I'm in a risk-free trade. See how it dropped down there? I'll move down a little bit farther. Just like that. Move a little bit farther. See how that blue line's going down? I don't have a take profit, so it's kind of just open. If it keeps shooting down, I'll keep moving this. Pretty close. Yep. Almost there. Here we go. So got about 30 bucks on that. So didn't go travel down as far, but that's the trailing stop loss. I got rid of the take profit. And so for it to run down, see, it kind of stopped here and came back up. But if it would have kept running down, I thought it may run down to where the last kind of support mark here was. So, but not a bad trade. Pretty solid entry. I entered right at the peak. It did go up a little bit here, but not bad. If you're on YouTube, click the link in the description. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, type the word learn in the comment section. We'll send you a DM, a free ticket to the web class. You have to click it and actually register, and you get all your questions answered live. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll do my best to try to get to them. J-Max said, can you set your stop loss up? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So when you place the trade, you're risking how much ever you set your stop loss at. Yes, unless you move the brackets, right? So the brackets are set at a certain amount, JMax. So I'm setting them at 100. So 5 contracts, $20 each. That's why. So it's 100, right? And so 100 and 100, right? No matter which way I'm going, if I'm buying or selling, right? Same distance. But if you move them, right, it changes that amount, right? So if you move them down, obviously, if you move them farther away, it's going to be a bigger amount and so forth. But you can set them at that amount. All right, we'll look for another setup. Check the 5-second chart again. So 5-second chart showing downward movement. Like I said, it was down here. It came back up here, hit my stop loss. It was a risk-free trade, but I thought it may meander down here. But we will look for another setup. Right now, it's kind of become center line-ish here. The overall trend, I believe, is still down or flat. So it's still somewhat down. It's been starting to flatten out. If you look from like there to here, it's kind of flattening out. So we'll see if it continues its down movement or let it reset before we get ready to enter into another trade. Once we get a setup, we'll see what it wants to do. Sort of establish itself, I guess, is what I want to say. But my name is Dino. I'm a student with 20-minute trader. Been a student for just over a year. I'll kind of go over here what we're looking at. So we're looking at a 1-second chart. We use a 1-second chart because it takes only about 1 to 3 seconds to enter our trade once we see it, rather than using a 5-second chart or something more than that. The instrument I'm trading is gold, which is the blue line. So whichever way that blue line is pointing with the help of the widgets, that's the direction I'm going to take a trade, right? The orange line is the Dow Jones. We use that as a comparison index to help us predict which way the blue line is going to go. And so we're looking for a divergence, a separation between these two lines. Think of Pac-Man's mouth, right? Nothing happens until divergence. Once we have that divergence separation, then we can identify, okay, the blue line's pointing in this direction. That's why I'm going to take a trade. So if the blue line's pointing up, it'd be a buy. If it's pointing down, it'd be a sell. So this here, these two lines here working together tell us the where of the trade. Down here is the relative strength index. Somewhat mathematical, but it's the strength of the blue line, right? Which is the value of gold. So if there are 20 movements upward, 20 movements downward, but the movements upward were much stronger or bigger, then this white line would be more in the upper half, right? And vice versa. But right now, as you can see, it's back and forth over the center line. So both of them are kind of equal in strength, right? But what we're looking for, that if that blue line is pointing down, right, and this again reflects the strength of that orange line, so it mimics it sort of. Well, if that blue line is pointing down, we're looking for a meaningful movement up to enter down, right? If the blue line is pointing up, right, we're looking for a meaningful movement down. So whichever way that blue line is pointing, right, up or down, we're looking for a meaningful movement in the opposite direction. Essentially, we're looking for a discount, right? So right now we're getting a decent divergence, right, again. And so let's see if, wow, big moves down there. But it is almost 7:30. I don't trade between the 27th and 33rd minute. I don't enter a trade. If I'm in a trade, I see how it goes, but I do not enter a trade at 7:20 between 7:27 and 27 and 33rd minute of any 30-minute period. So we'll let this one play out and see what happens. But we had a divergence here, right? So the orange line is coming down, but I still like it. If that orange line goes back up, the divergence will maintain. But if we did still have the divergence, I would look for a meaningful movement up here, this blue line, to enter down. Which platform do I use for trading? Right now, I'm using TradingView. I have a funded account attached here. And so I do like the Tradeovate platform as well, but right now I'm using TradingView. The reason why I don't trade between the 27-minute and 33rd minute or the 57-minute 03-minute I talk about it is because in my journal, if I was entering trades between those times, I've noticed in my journal that they just never pan out well for me, right? The percentage isn't very high. I think some of it may be due to some volatility at that time frame of maybe switching over or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure. I just know that it's never. So I just said, oh, I'll just take it out. It's only 6 minutes, right? But many times I don't even get to that time frame because I'm only typically trading for 20 minutes or so. So I start at 8:03 and trade to 24, 25, 26, right? So I don't always get to those, but sometimes depending on the day, life's hurdles, what's going on, it can't be exactly at those times. So I do have that area where I don't place a trade for those reasons. Question: which platform do you suggest for trading in Canada? It would be great if you could help. I wish I could. I don't necessarily know. Each platform, I believe TradingView is fine. I'm not sure, but each platform, each like prop firm, if you decide to go that route, platform, etc. Or if you're doing whatever the case may be, you can read about it, look that up. I'm not sure. I wouldn't have a confident answer in that. Apologize. Yeah, TradingView looks to be good for Canada. As far as that platform, as far as whether you use a prop firm or other accounts or broker or whatever, that's different. But you have to find that out from those specific institutions. All right, 7:31. So parallel lines down. Just have a few minutes left here. You are very welcome. Check the 5-second chart. So 5-second chart, you can see it's heading down now. Both lines are heading down. Like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I trade on the 1-second chart. But I like to look at the 5-second chart just to take a zoom out and see which way the overall trend is going. Because on the 1-second chart, it's hard to see the overall trend. I mean, you can see it down, but I like a zoomed out view. So 7:33, we'll look for a setup here. Both lines are parallel. We got some time left. Like to get another trade in or two for all of you. Grateful coming out here. Jeremy Russell asked the students to come out and trade and talk about what they're thinking and kind of what they're doing and just kind of talk out loud. thoughts, emotions, all the above. And I try to do the best with that. So you guys, all of you get an idea of what I'm thinking, just for me, my experiences, what I'm doing, and it's nice to be able to kind of express that. And I make mistakes. All of you see it all the time. I lose trades. You're definitely going to lose. I lose. I mean, you just part of the process, right? It's just being process dependent, not outcome dependent. You're going to lose, but of course, over 50, 100 trades, et cetera, right? That's where that kind of starts to, you see that take hold, right? By being consistent, where it starts to grow. Kind of just going down and down and down and down. That's okay. But what that tells me is that I want to obviously look for a trade down, right? Get a divergence where if we get a divergence where the blue line's actually pointing up, I would want that to get established in a trend before I would take a trade up, right? Where I would do a buy just based on the, you zoom out, look, it's just been going down, right? So let's say it starts to change here, right? The blue line maybe starts to head up. I'd like to see it head up for a little bit, be a little bit more consistent, have a new trend established before I would jump in. So it looks like that's attempting to do is flattening out, looking like it may start to climb back up. But like I said, I would need it to be established going up for a little bit before I would jump in. I don't know what that time frame would be, but just taking a step out and view it here for the 5-second chart, right? You can see just now it's starting to flatten out. It may start to work its way back up. I'd want to see it for a little bit. That is why. Thank you all for being here. I come out here Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Kai is out on Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., all Eastern. And then Lance comes on at 6:15, about 45 minutes before me. I come on typically a little early, like 6:45, 6:50. I come on and join Lance and his guest and have a little chat before I start. But yeah, enjoy it. Thank you all for being here. If you're on YouTube, click the link in the description. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, type the word learn in the comment section. We'll send you a DM, a free ticket to the web class where you can get all your questions answered live. Look, if it speaks to you, if it's something that you think, like I said, I first saw Jeremy make a trade. I think I was on Instagram. I'm like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. Maybe some of you thinking about that about me. Oh, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's okay. That's good. So I thought with Jeremy when he did it, right? And so it speaks to you, if you join the community, look me up. My name is Gino, and I'd love to trade with you and tell you about my experiences. Thank you for being out here. See what it's going to start to give us. Yeah, look. Starting to get some, looks like we're starting to get some bigger, quicker, bigger movements. Like I said, after 7:30, you typically get that. Yeah, look at bigger, quicker movements. Oh, look at that drop. There it goes. The orange line starts to head up when we get a divergence created. I'll start to look to enter a trade down. See what this orange line does here. We know the blue line is a ton of movement down, a ton of pressure downward. Right? Orange line starting to flatten out. So if we get a big enough movement up, a meaningful movement up, I'll look to enter down a sell. So we have the divergence starting to get like Pac-Man's mouth, right? And we know we're trading this way because the blue line's pointing that way. We get a meaningful movement up, I'll look to enter a sell or a short. Good job, Grandpa. So the divergence is breaking down. So I'll have to take a step back. If that orange line would have kept coming up, I'd have been okay with that. But like I said, nothing happens until divergence. So it wasn't that divergence wasn't for that long, right? It wasn't like the orange line was going up for a while and then it shot right back down, right? If that was the case, I'd still potentially consider that a qualifiable setup. It may go back up and we may resume that, right? Do you have a preferred prop firm? I personally use, this one's Top One and also Apex. That's what I use. So we got that orange line heading back up. We're going to get that divergence again. See if that orange line continues up. Flat blue line, upper orange. If I get a good movement up, I will get back in and enter a short. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, if I would have entered, I would have missed my entry. I would have entered right here. And you know, obviously you have a divergent collapsing, but that's because the blue line has to come up and you know, have a meaningful movement up, right? And so my entry would have been here. I did miss it. I was late. So you can see it's starting to pick up faster movements, bigger movements too. And so we'll look for one more set. We'll see what we find here. Let's get one more. Thank you, Grandpa. Live sharing makes a difference on my side. Thanks. You blew through yesterday's overnight lows. Yeah. So we have a divergence back. I still kind of like the setup, like I said, it happened so fast. My entry should have been there, but I missed it. So you can see we have a good divergence again, good Pac-Man's mouth, good spread. We know which way we're trading. We're trading down. I'm trading down because of that. It's pointing down, right? We're just looking for that movement up, meaningful movement up. So I got the movement up. I entered, right? It was a late entry, which actually may have benefited me here because it kind of shot up after. But we'll see what happens. That shot up pretty quick. So let's see if I get the movements I want. My take profit and stop loss were awful close. I'm not sure why. I'll have to look at that. But yeah. Try to get this in position so you can see it a little bit better. So right now I'm down 60. If I were to exit right now, I'd be down whatever's in this box. I'd either take with me, or either way I'd take with me, whether it's a loss or green or red, whatever the case may be. So looks like there's a lot of potential to go up. So that's all right. Yep. That was a quick movement. Thought my entry was actually late, but actually worked out as far as this position here, but just started skyrocketing back up. That's all right. 1 for 1. I hit the trade earlier, but not as much. So I think I hit the one earlier for 30 or 40. I lost this one for about 110. So not bad. But that's it for me. Thank you all for being out here. I will be back tomorrow night around at 7, but I maybe jump on a little early with Lance. He comes on at 6:15. If you're on YouTube, click the link in the description. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, type the word learn in the comment section. We'll send you a DM, a free ticket to the web class, and get all your questions answered live. Thank you for being out here. Blessed. Thank you. And we will see you all tomorrow night, hopefully. Thank you. Take care.